Solving quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. Every quadratic formula can be solved using the quadratic equation, even problems that will not factor or you can't take the square roots to solve. This formula will solve every type of quadratic equation. So the formula is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. The a, b, and c come from the basic form of a quadratic equation. The a is the number in front of the x squared, the b is the number in front of the x, and the c is the constant, the number that's just by itself. So if we want to solve x squared plus 8x plus 12 equals 0, using the quadratic formula, we have to first identify a, b, and c. We don't see a number in front of the x squared. There's an understood 1, so that's going to be the a. B is the 8, and c is the 12. Now we'll plug those numbers into the formula. So x equals negative 8 plus or minus the square root 8 squared minus 4 times 1 times 12, all over 2 times 1. So that's negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Then just calculate the part that's underneath the square root. Don't take the square root, just do the numbers underneath. 8 squared minus 4 times 1 times 12. And that comes out to be 16. So now we have x equals negative 8 plus or minus the square root of 16 all over 2. And we know the square root of 16, it's 4. Negative 8 plus or minus 4 all over 2. Now, if the number under the square root comes out to be a real whole number, like this 4, we knew the square root of 16 was 4, then go ahead and break your answer down into two parts. The first part using the plus, the second part using the minus. X equals negative 8 plus 4 all over 2, and x equals negative 8 minus 4 all over 2. Then x would be, let's see, negative 8 plus 4 is negative 4 over 2, negative 2. And then the other one, negative 8 minus 4, would be negative 12 over 2, which is negative 6. Remember, quadratic equations always have two answers because the highest power is 2. So negative 2 and negative 6. This problem is not set up in proper form. You want all of your terms to the left side and have the equation equal to 0. So let's subtract 12s and get it on the other side. And now we have 9s squared minus 12s plus 2 equals 0. And we need to identify a, b, and c. So the 9 is a, negative 12 is b, and the 2 is c. Filling in our formula, x equals, now there's already a negative in the formula, and we're plugging in a negative 12. So negative 12 becomes positive, plus or minus the square root of negative 12 squared. If you put a negative in the calculator and square it, make sure you put parentheses around it, or the calculator won't include the negative when it squares. So negative 12 squared minus 4 times 9 times 2 all over 2 times 9. Then we're going to calculate just the part that's underneath the square root. So negative 12 squared minus 4 times 9 times 2 comes out to be 72. all over 18. The square root of 72 does not come out evenly, and we don't want to have a decimal answer. So we're going to break the 72 down. Now, on the last slide of this lesson, I'll talk more about how we've done this. But basically, we want to do a factor tree. 72 is 8 times 9. 9 is 3 times 3. 8 is 2 times 4. 4 is 2 times 2. So here's the end of each branch. And when I look at the end of each branch, if there's two of the same number, then that number gets to come out. So here's 2 2s, a 2 comes out. Here's 2 3s, a 3 comes out, but this 2 doesn't have any friends. He'll have to stay home. So now we have x equals 12 plus or minus. A 2 comes out and a 3 comes out, and you multiply if more than one number comes out. So 6 square root of 2 all over 18. That's not the only way to simplify square roots, so if you do it another way, that's fine. Then, once you have the square root simplified, you're going to want to see if you can reduce. And when you reduce, you look at all three outside numbers, only the outside numbers, and it has to be all three. And if they all divide by something, you can reduce it down. So 12, 6, and 18 all divide by 3. Reducing that down. Oh, even bigger, they all divide by 6. So let's divide all of those by 6. 12 divided by 6 is 2, plus or minus 6 divided by 6 is 1. Square root 2 all over 3. You don't ever divide out anything that's inside the square root. And then that's as far as you can go. You just leave that. X squared minus 4x plus 7. So again, invisible 1 for the A. B is negative 4. C is 7. Filling in the formula, x equals, the formula already has a negative. We're filling in a negative 4, so negative negative 4 becomes positive. Plus or minus square root negative 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times 7 all over 2 times 1. Then just the part underneath the square root. Negative 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times 7 comes out to be negative 12. So just like we broke down the 72 under the square root in the previous problem, we're going to break down the 12. 12 is 3 times 4. 4 is 2 times 2. So if your number has a friend, it can come out of the house. Here's 2 2s. Those are friends, so a 2 can come out. This 3 is all by himself. He has to stay home. No friends. So that would be x equals 4 plus or minus. A 2 comes out. Now look, we have a negative under a square root, which creates an imaginary number. So to handle the negative, we need an I for imaginary. Square root of 3. The 3 had to stay home. All over 2. Then finally, remember to see if you can reduce. Look at the outside numbers. The 4, the 2, and the 2, they all divide by 2. So reducing that down is going to become 2 plus or minus I square root 3 all over 1. Or you can just leave it like that. This is just a review of simplifying the square root, what we did with the 72. So let's just look at that again. So just start a factor tree. It doesn't matter. I choose 8 times 9, but there are other things you can multiply to get 72. It doesn't matter how you start. You'll come out the same in the end. And then 8 is 2 times 4. Okay, that 2 won't go any farther. 4 is 2 times 2. So that's the end of those branches. 9 is 3 times 3. So if I have a friend, I can come out of the house. Here are 2 3s. They're friends, so a 3 comes out. 2 2s. A 2 comes out. This 2 is by itself. It has to stay home. If more than one number comes outside of the house, you multiply them. So the 2 times the 3, 6. And the 2 stays home. Also, if more than one number has to stay home, you would also multiply those.